Hi, I'm Rebecca Oblak, and today I'm going to be talking about why I am against capital punishment. Now, before I get into the main details, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history and how it came to America. Back in the early 1600s, by Great Britain, it very influenced America. In 1608, the first recorded death penalty case was by a captain who was from Spain, and he was convicted because he was a spy. Then, in 1612, the governor of Virginia passed some laws that if you broke them, you would be executed by the capital punishment. And those were if you were killing chickens, stealing from people, or if you were trading with Indians. So overall, there's different laws by state. So just like today, many colonies had their own way of executing people if they broke them. The 5 types of execution that we have are gas chambers, electrocution chair, hanging, firing squad, and lethal injection. Lethal injection is the most common that we have. 83% of cases are done by lethal injection, and even though the state gives the option for the convicted to choose what type of execution they want, usually they choose lethal injection. The 3 drugs that are used, the first one puts the body into an unconscious state, the second one relaxes the muscles and paralyzes the body, and the third one causes the heart to go into cardiac arrest. Now during this process, no medical personnel is allowed. So there doesn't have to be a doctor present, there doesn't have to be EMS or any kind of medical personnel. So pretty much anyone with a limited background is giving this person the drug. So there could be complications. For instance, the first drug, sometimes the person doesn't go into an unconscious state. So that means they're going to be feeling everything happening while they're being executed, which can cause excruciating pain for them. In addition, it costs $83, which I'll talk about next, is on top of the millions of dollars that they spend for each court case. So like I said, millions of dollars are spent on court cases. This is usually the first stages of appeals due to like the more money for the lawyers, judges, and stuff like that. Texas, which has double the amount of executions and also twice as many people on death row, spends about $2.3 million each year on death penalty cases. So if they would save this money, this would help their state financially. Colorado spends $4 million on their capital punishment court cases. And what they're trying to do is get rid of the capital punishment law because they want to use that money to pay for the funding of the 1,400 cases that they want to solve, or 1,400 homicidal cases that have been unsolved. So to save that money, that's what they want to do with it. Money spent in life in prison is about $15,000 in Kentucky and $60,000 in New York. So that's like usually the rough estimate of like what it ranges from. Even though this is per inmate per year, it may seem like it would add up over the years, but really researchers have shown and done numerous research on that capital punishment cases is actually a lot more expensive than life without prison or life without parole. It also saves more time. In Colorado, they have done studies that capital proceedings require 6 times more days in court than life without parole. So in addition to saving money, it will also save days. And while the convicted are serving life without prison, they can think about what they've done, and this can be more of a beneficial punishment. These are a few graphs that I've found to show the murder rates of death penalty states versus non-death penalty states. In the dark green, those are the murder rates of death penalty states, and in the light green, those are the murder rates of non-death penalty states. So as you can see, the murder rates are a lot higher for the death penalty states than the non-death penalty states. And then this is a graph that shows the percentage differences between, for the previous graph. So in the beginning of 1990, it was only 4%, so not much of a difference. But then over the years, it drastically increased, almost about half. So over the years, the death penalty has been, the murder rate has been very, very different. And then this is the death sentencing in Ohio. In the beginning of 1994, you can see that is about maybe 12 or 13, and then it has slowly decreased down to 3. So this is definitely a drastic decrease for death penalty population. So, like I'm saying, it's decreasing. So, do we really need it? According to Death Row USA, they had done a study in 2013 from April to July showing that there was a decrease in death row inmates. In April, there was 3,108, and that decreased to 3,095. Now, this doesn't mean that anyone was killed off or anything. It was just showing that a lot of the cases weren't ending in death penalty convictions, which because of this decrease, it was a 12% decrease compared to the last 10 years when it was 3,517. And just recently, before Easter break, New Hampshire went into a repeal of the capital punishment. Unfortunately, it ended with a 12-12, which was a tie. But if they would have gone through with repealing it, it would have been the 19th state in the United States to repeal this. It would have been the 7th state in the last 7 years to repeal the capital punishment, and it also been the last of the New England states to repeal this. Their first execution was in 1939, which is roughly about 75 years ago, and there's currently a person on death row, but in 75 years, it looks like it serves no purpose for the state. So overall, do we really need to be killing people just to serve a punishment? I mean, do you really need to take someone else's life away because they took someone else's? I mean, it's very debatable, but personally I think it would just save the state more money, more time. It would fund us economically, and it would just help us overall. So that's pretty much it, and these are my sources.